What is your best parking spot revenge? So I'm a medical resident working crazy shifts at the hospital, and my apartment building has assigned parking. I pay an extra $50 a month for spot 12B, which is right by the stairs. After pulling 12-hour shifts dealing with sick people all day, the last thing I want is carrying groceries from the back of the lot. But this jackass in a shiny black BMW keeps parking in my spot. No resident sticker, nothing. Just rolls up like he owns the place. First time I saw it, I figured maybe he was visiting someone and didn't know better. Left a nice note on his windshield explaining it was assigned parking. The note was gone the next day, but so was the car, so I thought problem solved. Wrong. 2 days later, the BMW was back in my spot. This time I left a less friendly note saying he needed to move or I'd call a tow truck. Again, the note disappeared, but nothing changed. Week 3, I actually called a towing company. Waited 40 minutes for them to show up, and of course the BMW was gone by then. The tow guy just shrugged and drove off. I was pissed, but whatever. But then it kept happening. Every few days I'd come home exhausted and there would be that stupid BMW sitting in my spot. I'd have to park way in the back and haul my stuff across the entire lot. One night it was pouring rain and I had 2 bags of groceries plus my medical bag. I was soaked and furious by the time I got to my door. That's when I decided to stop playing nice. Next time the BMW showed up, I had a plan. I parked my beat-up Toyota Corolla maybe an inch away from the driver's side door, like you'd need to be a contortionist to squeeze out. Then I called my friend Katie, who has this huge Jeep, and asked her to come help me with something. 20 minutes later, Katie pulled up and I had her park the Jeep 1 inch from the passenger side. This BMW was completely boxed in. No way anyone was getting out of that car without serious automotive gymnastics. I went upstairs, made myself some tea, and waited. Around 9 p.m., I heard angry footsteps stomping up the stairs and someone pounding on my door. I opened it to find this guy in his late 20s absolutely losing his mind. Red-faced yelling about how I couldn't do this and he had to leave for work in the morning. I just smiled super sweetly and said, "Oh, really? That's exactly how I feel every time you steal my parking spot." He starts threatening to call the police, so I told him to go ahead. I'm parked legally in my own assigned spot that I pay for. He kept going on about how this was harassment and I was being unreasonable. Unreasonable? I've left you multiple notes asking nicely and you ignored them all. Maybe you should have thought about this before you decided my parking spot was your personal property. The guy stomped off still yelling, and 20 minutes later, 2 cops showed up at my door. I explained the whole situation calmly while this dude was still red-faced and screaming in the hallway. The officers asked him for proof he lived in the building. He couldn't provide any because turns out he didn't live there at all. He was crashing at his girlfriend's place in Unit 8A and figured the parking lot was just free game for anyone. The cops gave him a trespassing citation and warned him his car would be towed immediately if he parked there again. They also told him he had to move his car right now, even if it meant climbing through the passenger side. Watching this entitled jerk awkwardly climb through his Jeep window while the cops stood there waiting was honestly the most satisfying thing I'd seen all month. But wait, it gets better. Turns out his girlfriend in 8A had no idea he'd been parking in resident spots. She came down while he was doing his window gymnastics routine and started screaming at him for embarrassing her with the neighbors. Right there in the parking lot, she told him he was an inconsiderate moron, and if he couldn't respect other people's property, he could find somewhere else to crash. They had this huge fight right in front of everyone, with her yelling about how she was tired of cleaning up after his messes and him trying to argue that it was just a parking spot. She ended up throwing his stuff out of her apartment that same night. I watched from my window as he loaded his BMW with clothes and random junk looking completely defeated. Never saw that BMW in my spot again.